Furious at Britain's role in the strikes on Iraq. A woman's believed to have died. It all happened minutes before Mr. Blair was due to arrive for a ceremony. From Cape Town, our Africa correspondent Tim Ewart reports. Some of the pictures are graphic.
As the band played for Tony Blair at a military ceremony in Cape Town today, demonstrators outside were calling for his death.
Yes to Tony Blair! Yes.
There is anger among Muslims here over Britain's military actions in Iraq. Suddenly, the police responded. For a moment, this seemed to be the South Africa of old. There was a barrage of tear gas, stun grenades and rubber bullets. As protesters dived for cover, the wounded were dragged away. It seemed like overreaction, but Cape Town has become a violent city. Firearms are used routinely by warring factions here, and the police are constantly alert for snipers. There was always a danger that anti-British demonstrations would disrupt this visit. Cape Town has a large and vocal Muslim population. Not many turned out today, but enough to disrupt Mr. Blair's schedule and steal the headlines from him. The Prime Minister did make his appearance to the wail of distant sirens. He was here for medals to be awarded to British military advisors working with the South African forces. Earlier in the day, as Mr. Blair visited child victims of AIDS, his officials disclosed that on his holiday in the Seychelles, he and a bodyguard had rescued a struggling swimmer from the ocean. Good news from the spin doctors. This evening, in a major speech, Mr. Blair promised not to flinch when the going gets tough in politics at home. But the abiding image of the day will be that of conflict and anger on the streets. Tim Ewart, ITN, Cape Town.
On Iraq, the Pentagon said today that key officials in Saddam Hussein's regime were killed in the airstrikes. America's also claiming that hundreds of crack Republican Guard troops died in the bombings. Our senior correspondent, Mark Austin, reports.
For 4 nights, the missiles and bombs rained down on Iraq, and now 3 weeks on, the first detailed intelligence estimates of damage and casualties are being revealed. In particular, the blow dealt to Saddam's elite Republican Guard, targeted because they protect Iraq's weapons of mass destruction. Strikes against their barracks are estimated by the Americans to have killed up to 1,600 of these troops. The Americans also claim they've severely damaged Iraq's missile program.
In this equipment now that we're seeing that was struck and severely damaged, we're seeing some unique pieces of equipment necessary for his missile development program.
Saddam's military leadership is also said to have been depleted, with several key leaders either killed during the raids or punished afterwards.
We have seen executions in the south. One division in particular lost its commander and several others.
The Americans admit their estimates are based on unconfirmed reporting from various sources. There's been no word in response yet from the Iraqis. Mark Austin, ITN.
Next on the early evening news, the NHS is in crisis. The Health Secretary admits it. Peter Mandelson's Building Society to take no action over that form. And the schoolboy
into roughly equal lengths, and that's going to be a good thing for children, and it's going to raise standards, I think, in schools.
Under the new proposals, 5 8-week terms would replace the old system of 3 terms, which can last up to 15 weeks. They'll be broken up by 4 2-week holidays and a 4-week summer break. That compares to the current 2 2-week end-of-term holidays and the 6-week summer break. There's a similar system at some city technology colleges, which are outside local authority control. The 5-term year is currently being discussed in several areas throughout the country, including here in East Sussex. If the proposals are adopted, they could be piloted in state schools from as early as the start of the academic year in 2000. Shuli Ghosh, ITN, Eastbourne.
The Deputy Chief Constable of Surrey has been suspended.